New Australian Citizenship Requirements 2017. Changes to Australian Citizenship 2017. Many or most have heard the press releases about the changes to eligibility to Australian Citizenship by Grant. That is, the ability of migrants to Australia to take the plunge and to become fully fledged Australians themselves. The rules have changed, and short of press releases by Malcolm Turnbull and Peter Dutton, everyone is largely in the dark, and this includes down under visa clients and any of you in Australian Filipina relationships. Now, reasons for citizenship changes. I try hard to keep out of politics, especially with anything to do with down under visa. Religion and politics are things that most people hold close to their hearts. However, despite overall political viewpoints and party loyalties, there is the politician with the best interests of their country at heart who ploughs ahead with policies they believe in, and there are those who act to make themselves more popular to prop up their apparent failure to impress the Australian public. This appears, in my humble opinion, to be something to appeal to the lowest common denominator of the Australian psyche by playing the race cards and the jobs for Australians cards. I can't see any sound reason for any of this apart from looking like the great patriot by cracking down on these migrants. Again, in my opinion, I would think that in an increasingly divisive world, that getting stuck into those who have chosen to make Australia their home achieves very little that is positive and good for the country. Yes, they are taking our jobs and they don't even speak English crowd may be very impressed, but does alienating those spouses of Australian men and women, or those alienating those skilled professionals who have and would have in the future, contribute to the advancement of the country? Does that really help? Is it going to make anyone feel a part of a country and the people who want them, and less likely to want to join ISIS? I doubt it very much. But anyway, on to the changes. The citizenship changes as we understand them. Keep in mind we haven't been given a lot of information at this particular point. 3 main areas of change: residency requirement, integration into the Australian community, and changes to the Citizenship Test. Now, residency. Previously, it was 4 years in total, with 1 year as a permanent resident. Now, the new rules, 4 years as a permanent resident, with no idea on the total. They haven't mentioned anything about that. But for partner visas, which have that temporary visa component of them, obviously this will mean at least 6 years in total resident in Australia. Obviously very disappointing for those who were ready and able to take the plunge already, of which I know a lot of down under visa clients who are in that position. They're just waiting, and this has come. So they have to wait now several more years. Integration into the Australian community. Okay, needing to demonstrate integration into the Australian community. Now, it's apparently employment or membership of community organisations, etc. That's the type of thing they're looking for. Now, look, it sounds reasonable on the surface, but not everybody is overly extroverted. Not everybody does get a job, and not everybody is mad keen on joining community organisations. One wonders how fairly they will measure this. Now, English skills. This is a new one, and a fairly scary one, to be quite honest. This was the basis of the White Australia policy many years ago. They had an English test. It was designed specifically for keeping the Chinese out, and it worked. They have long used the IELTS system for assessing the English skills of those applying for employment-based visas, which makes sense because they do need, in order to work in a job, you need to be able to communicate in English. If you're a teacher or a nurse or something, obviously it's critical. From what they're saying, I suspect that they will be using that same system. That's where they measure reading, writing, listening and speaking. Okay, now that might be fine for those in their 20s, or those who grew up in Manila, educated in private schools and had their tuition in English. But for a Filipina who is older and or grew up in the provinces and had a public education rather than a private education, this could be a real struggle. If you were going to worry about any area in particular about this, I would think it would be this area. This would be the one. If my wife weren't an Aussie citizen already, I'd be making some moves to get her to start improving on those 4 areas. I'd be having an accent. For Filipinos, getting the F and P and the B and V mixed up, and the he and she. Filipinos do that. And much of this will depend on the band score that they do end up setting for this. IELTS has a band score system. Just depends on where they actually set it. Again, we don't know at this point. Citizenship Test. Now, there's a maximum of 3 tries only. I don't know how difficult the test is going to be, but potentially that's a scary prospect. Automatic refusal in cases of cheating. Well, I suppose that's fair enough. More meaningful questions to be included. Now, I can still remember when this was first introduced under John Howard, and they had questions about Don Bradman, for goodness sakes, and some snooker player that I'd never even heard of. So fingers crossed on this one. Obviously, native speakers will be at an advantage, and those who are not, again, older and less educated, will be at a distinct disadvantage, which the last time I looked at had nothing to do with their value as human beings. So, oh well. So there you have it. This is what we know so far, and we'll let you know if and when anything new comes to hand. Thank you. This video was brought to you by Down Under Visa, who specialise in visas for Australian Filipina couples. Please visit our website and complete a free visa assessment form. And please watch some of our other videos. Thank you.